Hi, I'm Matt here in Michigan.
And I'm Randall, still here in Michigan with Matt. We're going to continue our April Guilty Pleasures film with another one of my Guilty Pleasure films, 2011's Battle Los Angeles. This film stars Aaron Eckhart, Michelle Rodriguez, Will Rothar, Bridget Moynihan, and Michael Pena. It is directed by Jonathan Liebesman, who is also the director of the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film and Darkness Falls. Before we get into this guilty pleasure of mine, remember that if you like this sort of thing, like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell icon so that way you will always know when we are uploading new content.
Now, in Battle Los Angeles, we follow a squad of Marines as they search for survivors during an alien invasion. It had a budget of at least $70 million and earned nearly $212 million at the box office. It has received below average reviews from both critics and audiences. Randall, this is one of your guilty pleasure movies. We actually got an opportunity to watch this movie together.
Which we don't get to do very often.
We don't get to do very often. So, Randall, what do you think about Battle Los Angeles?
I think part of what makes this a guilty pleasure for me is A, it's just easy to watch. It's an alien invasion film, and you don't have any other expectations out of it other than that.
Mm-hmm.
It is. But what makes it more interesting than an average alien invasion film for me is that so many alien invasion films concentrate on the command center, the Independence Day, the top dogs, the top brass, the best of the best. And this one just follows that squad of Marines. It's following that boots on the ground mentality. You don't see that perspective very often in alien invasion films. Now, I know this is the first time you watched it,
Yep.
and it's my guilty pleasure film, so what did you think of it?
So to me, it's like you're saying, kind of talking about how we actually follow a squad. To me, it's kind of like that mix between like the early 2000s or whatever, mid 2000s war movies kind of thing, where we follow like soldiers in Iraq and stuff. But only a difference, instead of fighting insurgents or other countries, we're fighting invading aliens and stuff too. So that's why I thought it was kind of interesting in it. I think that our characters and stuff are pretty good in this one. We have like a good setup. That's one thing I like about it. The Marines at the beginning, we get a little backstory, so we get a little personality about the Marines and stuff before we go into it, instead of just throwing them in and trying to figure everything out as we're going.
They don't need to have extremely thorough backgrounds because it's an alien invasion movie. It's just, all right, let's get on with the action. But it does, at the same time, give you that opportunity. And I like that. I think that that's part of the thing that makes this movie a little bit more rewatchable. Like, I'm not going to say you care a ton for the characters, but you care a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that little bit is enough. But I do think you're important. It's one of my notes where you play kind of that, like, Black Hawk Down, almost, where we're following the soldiers. We're not following the commanders and the top brass. We don't care about that. This film is kind of like that. And I've liked the pivot in war-based films or series where we're actually getting more accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you can't really put war on film. It's not, you can't do that. It's very hard. Black Hawk Down's maybe one of the best, like, show you everything. But I think it's nice that you see it from their perspective, and that the soldiers, the Marines in this case, are actually portrayed decently accurate.
Yep. Now, one thing on the same lines that I was a little bit disappointed with, so we get to know these Marines a little bit. Kind of not like, some of them are just kind of like their roles, but we get, some, they're expendable. They're not wearing red shirts though in this one.
No.
But there's one, like, Marine in particular, we're kind of learning a little bit more, and that's, the Virgin or whatever, as some of the other ones, call them, and they kind of build it up.
Don't mess this up, man. They cannot know that you're a virgin, all right?
How do you know? Who says I'm a virgin?
So I was disappointed because this is one, we see an instance of him where he's off kind of on his own, and he has to be saved even though he gets hurt, and because he gets hurt, he's getting medvaced, and I'm thinking, like, are we really, like, losing this character already? So I'm thinking, like, well, maybe at the last moment he's going to step off the helicopter. Nope. He goes on that helicopter and kaboomy. So I was a little disappointed that some of the characters that we're actually getting to know and stuff, the most, I think, are the characters that we kill off halfway through the film. And then it seems like we just, like, introduce a bunch of, like, other characters that we don't know about and stuff later. So these new characters, we build up more of our like Marines' relationships with these civilians. I wish we would have had more build up, I guess, throughout of the Marines together, like the camaraderie. Oh, almost like a Saving Private Ryan kind of thing.
Maybe a little bit of that. Like, it is interesting because in this, the mission isn't save the world.
Mm-hmm.
The mission in this film is save these civilians, get them out of the battle zone, basically. When they do run into these civilians, you lose Marine after Marine after Marine, and you start thinking, depending on how serious you take the film or you don't take it, well, at what point is it not worth it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, to save just a few civilians when you're giving up these valuable tactical assets.
Mm-hmm.
And I've thought that this movie, and I've thought it through a couple of times because I've watched it a lot as a guilty pleasure, is like, you know, I'm not sure that it was worth it, but at the same time, in the service of the plot, if they weren't there and they weren't doing what they were doing, then they would never have found the CNC for the aliens in this particular region,
right,
and been able to have the giant, you know, climax of the film, which is really just an afterthought because, again, we're not trying to save the world. We're not really after the CNC. That's a subplot that just kind of comes up when Michelle Rodriguez's character shows up.
Yep. And this movie is definitely, if we're going to talk about kind of like monster or alien invasion movies, I mean, I guess what most people try to compare everything to would be like Independence Day and stuff. And this is not an Independence Day film. The reason I bring this up is kind of like the pacing's a little bit different. This one, since we're, you know, boots on the ground, it's like next thing, like next mission, fast paced. I joke that this has more explosions than the Michael Bay film. But it's not that we have these gigantic explosions all the time. It's just that because they're in this war zone that's constantly going on, that we all have this on. So one thing is, it's one of those fast paced things that I guess I would like a little bit more time to breathe in some instances, even though I do think we get a few of those.
I think that the point isn't to get time to breathe, though, because the Marines aren't getting time to breathe. It's like, we're under attack, we retreat, we regroup, we move to the next objective. That's a reality for these characters. So if you're feeling like, hey, I don't have time to like stop and take stock, well, neither do they. You know? And I think that's kind of the point. For me, besides being a guilty pleasure, I think this is a fairly well done film, all in all. And, you know, obviously critics didn't agree with me, and I don't know if it'll end up being a cult film or not. I mean, it's maybe like middling cult, but not like full on cult status at this point. But one of the things you point out is the explosions. There's lots of explosions in this film. And you point out Independence Day, because that's like the granddaddy alien invasion film.
Yep.
What I like about this is that physics exists. The aliens don't have shields like Independence Day aliens. They can be hurt by our bullets. Their ships, their aircraft, can be hurt by our missiles. Like, we can hurt them. It's just a matter of overwhelming force. How much can we throw at them versus how much they can throw at us? You know, physics exists in this movie, and in so many alien invasion movies and certain other franchises and genres. Physics is so far out the window that you don't care about. I'm like, no, our weaponry is effective. Can we bring enough of it to bear before they bring enough of theirs to bear?
One thing of kind of like story things that I was going on kind of like build up. So we do have these moments, like you can't have a good alien movie without, you know, like a big speech.
Work fast, work as a unit, and we will prevail. Let's figure out how we're going to get out of this mess.
For me, this is where it kind of fell a little short for me. I didn't get the whole, like, you know, I didn't get the hoorah feelings or whatever. Or, you know, we have one point, too, where the kid just lost his dad and stuff. And we were talking about, we'll watch the movie when he goes out. To me, it didn't really work out as much. I think these were moments where the movie creators were trying to make you feel something or get, and for me it just didn't work.
You want that Steve Rogers feeling?
Yeah, well, that Steve Rogers feeling.
This uplifting, amazing speech, and you get Aaron Eckhart's kind of like, you know, they were fantastic Marines, and I miss them every day, including your brother talking to one of his Marines.
I don't just see him as like just, you know, Marines, like no name. I know who they are. I know their numbers and stuff. They actually did mean something to me.
See, for me, on my side of the table, it's the other way around. I see it as, you know, here's a Marine who's just trying to do his best. You know, he doesn't really have a family. He doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have kids. He doesn't know how to deal with kids. You know, this kid's coming to him because he's like the only authority figure now. His dad's just passed away, and he doesn't really know what to do with it.
Yep.
And at the same time, he's trying to give this rousing speech, but he's like, I'm not Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the rousing, inspirational speech thing's not me.
Yep.
I'm a Marine.
Yep.
And my job is to fight. Earlier in the movie, he's like, gonna retire. He's done. He's like, a Marine has a shelf life, is what he says.
Marine's got a shelf life, you know? After that,
What? He spoils?
something like that.
I think that that's fine, because that's within his character. It's built on. It's like, I don't really know how to deal with these situations any better than anyone else. I'm just doing the best I can as a Marine.
It's got that experience stuff. And it's good, too, that he's taken a back seat through a lot of it, because it's like, you know, my rank and everything, but at the same time, this isn't my show, you know? This isn't...
Because there's a
this isn't
lieutenant
mine.
who's in charge of this. Yeah, not him. He's, you know, Aaron Eckhart's kind of the main character, but he's not in charge for a good portion of the film. There's a Lieutenant Martinez who's in charge, but he sacrifices himself to let the squad get away. Mm-hmm. So I find it just it's easy to watch. It's fun to watch. It's an alien invasion flick where I can turn my brain off, and I don't always like to turn my brain off for movies. You know, some movies are okay, some aren't, and for this one, it's like I've seen it enough. I can just kind of cruise through it. Total guilty pleasure film for me.
For me, it was okay movie to watch. I did enjoy parts of the movie and stuff. Other parts didn't quite hit. I don't know if this is a movie that I'm actually really going to revisit or whatever. It was good for a good watch, and, you know, it's a good popcorn flick and stuff, too.
I guarantee I'm going to revisit it. Because that's what guilty pleasure films do.
Yup, exactly. Well, what do you guys think about Battle Los Angeles? If you've seen this movie already, let us know in the comments below. Also, go to our YouTube page to check out our other videos. We have flashback reviews, new movie reviews, television series reviews, and Randall and I also have deeper dives where we expand on different topics.
And don't forget to check us out on Facebook. We post the day before what we're going to be posting on YouTube the next day. We post new videos every Monday and Thursday. For now, I'm Randall here in Michigan. See everyone next time.
And I'm Matt here in Michigan. Have a good day, everyone. Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.